Can I tell you to break clean, watch yourself at all times, shake hands now, may the best man win. Good luck to both of you. Round one, that was the bell.
Welcome to another episode of That's Boxing Podcast. I'm Dust.
I'm Coach.
And we got a lot to talk about today.
Yeah.
I feel like.
It's good to be back. I feel like I haven't seen you in ages.
It's been ages. It's been a long time.
How long has it been? A month? 3?
3 years, I think.
I know. How's the family?
Yeah, they're growing up.
Yeah.
You know,
Crazy,
I've been in cryo freeze. I've been in deep sleep.
Buddy. Well, here we are back in the studio, man. Crazy weekend of boxing last weekend.
Yeah.
A lot of great action. And well, you know what I liked about it? No pay-per-views.
True.
That shit was all free, dude.
All free. Well,
Yeah.
It's always all free for you, given that you're a pirate.
Hey. Or that or my wife pays for the subscription. So, hey, there we go.
Hey, freeloader. But it was genuinely free this last weekend, and let's get into it. Should we recap? Should we do some card recaps?
Yeah, let's go over what happened.
Okay.
What happened? What the hell happened?
Should we start ESPN Top Rank?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, our boy Kiki gets a win. This is if any of you follow my Instagram, that was the craziest bet I ever placed, was Kiki by decision. Never doubt the man. I figure they're stepping him up and they're working harder competition. His last fight obviously won by disqualification because the guy kept spitting his mouth guard out, but his opponent was looking tough and gonna hang in there, and I thought this guy might be the same. Had never been stopped before, but that was not the case. By the end of round 1, maybe round 2, I remember texting you and saying, "Oh, lost $5."
Yeah, bad bet there, but we're hoping that one of these guys is going to give him a tougher fight. But this dude, Kiki, he brings something to this level of action in the early rounds that these guys just aren't ready for. They're like, wait a minute, no, not so early. What are you doing this for? We got all night, buddy. Let's dance a little bit. And he's like, I'm going to rip your fucking head off.
Yeah,
let's
make it an early one.
Yeah, he gets right to work. An all action fighter, man. Great fight, great performance. What's next for him? Who knows? Probably another one of these, mid tier jokers that they're going to roll out for him because. I don't know. He's not getting the ring experience to really step in there with any of these, B-list guys yet. He needs to get a tough enough mid-tier opponent that's going to hang in there for enough rounds for him to get some experience and get some rounds in.
Yeah. Well, he's 12-0 with 11 knockouts. Building his career, he's fighting 3-4 times a year, which why not when these kind of look like sparring sessions? How do you build a fighter like this? Is it because I always wonder, like, there's a huge step up, obviously, when you start throwing his name out there with kind of the main contenders. But is it hard to find these kind of mid-tier stepping stone guys? Can you walk someone's career up one level harder, or is it just impossible to see what those levels are if you're his promoter?
It's tough, especially in the heavyweight division. Where these guys, they on paper should probably be able to stand up to, and hang in there. But they're just not getting it done. I don't know if there really is a reliable mid-tier heavyweight boxer. I think you're either straight trash or you're potential world champion. Mm-hmm. It's just such a violent division because of the potential for power and knockouts and real career-ending punishment.
Yeah.
Who the fuck's going to want to get in there and do that,
Well, they don't seem to be spotlighting him in the way that I thought that they would. Like, I don't know if he's the prodigal child of Top Rank heavyweight the way that Jared Anderson was. I don't know why he wouldn't. He's very exciting to watch, and he's doing what you want to see a heavyweight do in every fight. But, he's never been top billing on a card. He's still on the prelims on, I think, maybe one card they bumped him up to the actual main, which just doesn't feel like the momentum is there for him. And so I wonder, with the luster off of Jared Anderson, that seems like someone you just throw him in there with, see what happens. I mean, it feels like if you get past someone like that, which feels like a big step up, but maybe we don't know where he should be, right? Given how they slow-walked his career, and as soon as he stepped up, it did not look good.
It all fell apart.
We know they didn't advise him to take that fight and all that backstory, but why not throw Kiki in there? And because if he gets past someone like Jared Anderson or even looks good against him, you start to say, okay, well, maybe time to rank this person and get in some title eliminators.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. There hasn't been any talk about Anderson lately since his defeat. Who knows where he's at, if he'll even want to make a comeback. And if he does make a comeback, since he's taken that risk to step into that higher tier, will he want to take that step down to fight a guy who's underneath him that far?
True.
I don't know. It could be a little bit of pride on the line there. He's like, hey, I even though I lost, dude, I'm part of the top tier because I took that risk and I took that loss. So give me something real. So I wouldn't blame Anderson for turning that fight down. But and we'll see what kind of influence Bob can have on him. But always great to see Kiki, friend of the show, man. I'm sure he'll be on air eventually, and we're always going to watch him. Want to see him rise as high as he can. Here's a funny, I'm getting into the the DraftKings just a little bit, and so
I see your bets, your insane dollar bets.
My
This
crazy
guy bets 10 bets per fight. All
I know.
all
I'm
the
never gonna make
longest
any money.
odds.
It's just for bragging rights. So I made an 8-pick parlay, and I just picked all the A sides, and I hit 7 of 8. And man, so we got Kiki. He won over Munez. Giovanni Santillan, he wins over Lawson. Art Barrera Jr. over Medina. Dimler Zamora. I don't even know a couple of these guys. Albert Gonzalez, who by the way, I really like his style. Is one of my favorite fights of the weekend, if not my favorite fight of the whole weekend. Delgado, who I knew he was going to win that fight. And then Hackett, he drops the ball for me, and he loses to Jose Roman.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, fuck.
One of the heaviest favorites, too, right?
I know, and then the last one that won in my favor was Yankio Rivera. Now, this was never going to make me any money. I think it was going to pay out like $1. But still.
How much did you bet?
$1.
An 8-pick parlay only
No, it only paid out it was a
plus 100.
minus 204.
You got an 8-pick parlay that was minus 204?
Yeah.
That's right there. That's what's wrong with boxing. Right there. Oh, make some more 50-50s.
So that was funny as shit. But, I'm looking at my bets. Okay, we'll talk about that one later. All right, so what else did you see on that card? All right, we're moving along. Santillan got it done. I really like Albert Gonzalez. That guy is nice. One of the, smoothest boxers I've seen in a minute. And he's in the undercard, and he's not, really blowing up, but he's got great coaching. He's got perfect timing, and he put on a great fight. It went to distance because the other guy was tough enough to hang in there, an Argentinian. I thought it was a great fight. Definitely worth a rewatch if you missed it earlier on the card. Albert Gonzalez versus Gerardo Antonio Perez. And then the main events and the co-main events happened. Oh, another shout out here to Lindolfo Delgado. I had a feeling about him that he was going to win by KO, and he sure did. That dude is he looks like he's got like old man strength. He's just so powerful for the division. He's strong. He's nasty with it. He lost a couple rounds, but as soon as he started finding his mark, he took care of this guy. So keep your eye on Delgado as well. He's a real good boxer fighting on these undercards.
I was trying to look up how old he is and see if that counts as old man strength. I don't know if 29. You get might have dad strength.
Dad strength, yeah.
Yeah, that could be it. But he did look good. Yeah, you were texting me during a couple of these fights, and a couple of them on the undercard were solid fights. Makes me sad that none of them hit the air until 7 p.m. because ESPN's got that tiny window of actual fight action.
Yeah, obviously I was watching on ESPN Plus, and then they had a huge delay because they were waiting on
College football.
Yeah. Who cares?
Who cares?
Who cares about
sport on.
foosball's the devil, Bobby? Come on, boxing's where it's at.
Well, Top Rank might not be. Their home might not be ESPN moving forward. They're looking at a merger with potentially DAZN or Amazon or other platforms.
That's great because we've never been huge fans of the ESPN system. You have to scroll through like 15 other choices to even find the boxing. They put it on 2 fights in the middle of the night. It's not cool, man. So
I think the thing that worries me is if boxing loses public exposure, like becomes more and more niche where you have to know about it to go looking for it. It's a better experience for us who just want to be with boxing, but it loses its outlet to the public, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you flash forward 5 years and it's like 85% of people walking around are just like, is boxing still a thing?
Is that not the reality we live in now?
I was thinking maybe it's 80 now. Maybe it's going to go up to 85.
Yeah, for real. We need to get, that was what PBC was trying to do. They got to deal with Fox. They're trying to get boxing back on primetime.
Yeah.
It never really came to fruition, but I don't know if the audience is there for it. People would be rather watching these reality TV shows or something. Who knows?
Well, and every boxer wants to do a pay-per-view. And it's like, hey, that's prohibitive with prime time. You kind of got to move in the opposite direction.
And is there even such a thing as prime time in the streaming era? People watch what they watch when they want to watch it.
That's true.
Nobody's going to wait. Like, it's not the 90s where you're going to watch Friends every time it comes on the special time. You're just going to marathon the whole fucking thing.
The only exception to that, though, is sports.
Live sports.
What's the most watched? If you look at the top 20 most watched events of the past 100 years, they're basically all Super Bowls. It's crazy. Because sports are live by definition happening right then. People want to all tune in. And sports are moving to streaming too, but at a certain point streaming is just cable, right?
Yeah, especially now with Netflix added commercials.
Did they?
Yeah.
I reactivated my Netflix for the Tyson fight. It was literally like a pay-per-view to me. Like I paid $15, signed up for Netflix, watched the fight, canceled it.
Man, we've been talking about canceling it ever since. Not only because of that Tyson debacle, but then they put commercials on it, and you're like, okay, now I feel like I'm just watching regular ass TV.
Even on the paid though?
Yeah, on the first tier, they made obviously you pay more to get rid of the ads,
Premium, yeah.
but it's not like, I mean, it's pretty bad. It's not like they even cut them in, like, because these are programs that were made without the idea of having a commercial break.
Right.
So when you stream like an old episode of The Simpsons or something, you feel the commercial breaks where they're supposed to be.
Right.
Like there'll be these little 5-minute spots, right?
Right.
But this is, I'll just cut right in the middle of a conversation of some like crime drama that you're watching, and then just blast the fucking commercial in your face about some Christmas gift that you're not actually going to buy.
That's so
It's
funny.
But fuck Netflix. Let's see where Top Rank lands, and hopefully it's somewhere, maybe DAZN, maybe the Ring magazine will start its own streaming platform.
Al Jazeera.
Yeah. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. That's fine.
All right. So how about the main event and the co-main event?
So let's get into it. So Rafael Espinoza gets a KO? TKO? He gets a retirement victory from Robeisio Ramirez in the 6th round. Counts as a TKO. Ramirez says no mas. Right at the beginning of the round, takes another straight right hand to his eye. Ramirez had been landing them at will pretty much all night. And Robeisio puts his hand up, turns his back, says no mas, and they stop the fight. Said he had double vision. Went to the hospital immediately after, diagnosed, as you said, via text right after the end of the fight, broken orbital bone. Obviously, I'm sure a kind of panicked and crazy feeling to have that bone broken and have your vision start to go. And he just said, yeah, I'm thinking long term beyond this fight, and it's not worth it to me to continue.
Yeah, that was tough to watch. You can always tell it's an orbital break, and I learned this from experience. Not my own orbital, but seeing it happen in the gym, is it swells up so quick. Mm-hmm. It's just instantly, like not a black eye. It's like, oh, you got this a full, like somebody pumped it up, like filled it full of jelly, man. Like, and it's just swelling, and it's like, okay, that's fucked up. And his reaction too, he's gonna get criticized for it, and I was pretty upset with the criticisms I was hearing from the broadcast team, because we all have a right to box or not box, and if a guy chooses in the moment not to box for his own health and safety, you can't criticize him. Unless you're gonna fucking get in there and take his place right now. Show me what you got, Joe Tessitore. Like fucking not cool, man. I was thinking about it. It's kind of this double standard. Like, we're not gonna talk about how dangerous and deadly the sport really is until somebody dies, and then they'll ring the bell and everybody will mourn, and then they'll be like, all right, get the next warm body in here to take a beating,
right,
and show no fear. It's like this weird double standard I saw when I worked in the restaurants and bars when I was younger. Is like, everybody's getting hammered, but you're not supposed to act drunk, because that would be embarrassing.
Right.
And then as soon as somebody's slipping, then they're a fool. But it's like, aren't we all in here just fucking ourselves up?
Like, why are we pretending?
Why are we pretending we're not fucking ourselves up? Like, let's just go full bore, crazy pirate drunk, knock the table over, fucking pull your pants down,
Yeah.
It was just stand here and act like you haven't drank half the bar. Just like, I'm too cool to. And that's the thing with boxing. We're not going to pretend. We're gonna act like these guys aren't getting their fucking heads beat in front of us all night long.
Like, everything's got to be hidden, right? I mean, you go to the corner, obviously, and they're just wipe the blood off, make him look like he's fine, bring him out there. And then it's like 2 seconds in, oh shit, he's bleeding. It's like, yeah, no shit, he's bleeding.
Yeah.
Like, it's a real.
Yeah.
I agree
but
with
it's
you.
what they want. I get it. I understand both sides of it, but I don't think these broadcasters have any place to criticize, and they need to communicate to the casual fans a little bit more clearly what's actually happening. With an injury of that level, and the fighter's right to say no mas.
I agree with you. I thought the commentary was interesting because they knew that what they were saying was wrong in a sense. So they'd caveat it with like, boxing's a dangerous sport and everyone should take care of their health, but you should always throw your health to the wind and never fucking quit. And it's like, well, kind of which one is it, man? And I was, I've been thinking about this since the fight, and I think there's something to be said for how infrequently boxers fight now, where it's like, well, you're only going to do this twice a year. So it almost puts this like extra pressure on it to make it this big thing. But if you're fighting every 4 months, maybe it's a less big deal to take a loss, to have to retire, to whatever it is. So, I can't fault this man even a shade of an iota, right? I'm not in there and I'm not taking that punishment. And if I were to, I could easily put myself in this place and say, hold on, this is a super serious injury that's going to get more serious if I stay in here. I mean, people can lose an eye. You can detach a retina. Spence has detached a retina several times and fought through it. It's not a smart thing to do. And if you think, hey, I'm already thinking about recovering from this and coming back in 6 to 8 months, or it's a long recovery, maybe a year. I mean, Billy Joe Saunders fractured his orbital and hasn't fought since.
No, he'll never fight again.
So, but if you're thinking that long term, the smart thing to do is just, I'm going to take a loss and I'm going to come back. And it's unfortunate it played out this way, but I'm an adult, and right. Whereas having heart and fighting through it is like, maybe you get the win and you can never see out of your eye again.
Yeah. Yeah. And also could be compounded by, his frustration. He was complaining about elbows. I never saw any like clear video evidence of like a chopping elbow. I was looking for something like what Fundora accidentally did to the top of Tim Zoo's head. Like, that's a real elbow.
Yeah.
I saw some that looked more like a forearm, not but it never really comes through on video, the violence, what's actually happening there. But whether or not the elbow did it, he was getting frustrated. He was on the back foot the whole night. He wasn't having much success. Even though he was winning on a couple of the cards, he wasn't really getting his groove going. And I was like, this is going to be a long night for him if he keeps fighting like this. Mm-hmm. Espinoza was coming on stronger. He was a lot bigger in the ring. I mean, dude's like fucking 6'1", weighing in at 126, rehydrating to 147, and walking your ass down all night. He's got a foot of reach on you, and then all of a sudden now your eyeball's busted up. It's like, okay, I get it, man. Live to fight another day. But he got his ass whooped. You can say that for a fact.
He was, he was flashing his pearly whites, smiling, every couple minutes to try to make it seem like he wasn't getting whooped on. But
that's like a real mark of frustration.
Yeah.
And like it's cool. I'm cool. I'm about to switch this up on him any minute now. You just wait.
Yeah. I will say, even though they only, they fought 2 fights ago, they just each had basically a tune-up fight in between. I felt like Espinoza going into this had somehow gotten better over that time. And part of that could be that Robisi's kind of peaked, being a 2-time gold medalist, Olympic champion. He's at his peak, and I think Espinoza is still ascendant and will still continue to get better. And he has so many tools in his box based on his physical attributes, but his ability to, like you said, fight inside and be rough and use his size, but also fight on the outside and kind of keep a long jab and use use the rear hand at length. And I think that's what he actually employed better here, where he'd kind of rough him up and then land a super strong whipping right hand. And he just looks great, and ESPN rocketed him to the first place in the division, and I think that's where he belongs.
Wow. Okay, there's a lot of action at 126. We'll see who he can get matched up with. I think the rumor is he might get matched up with the other fella that fought that night, Emmanuel Navarrete, if he moves up in weight, obviously, to 130.
I mean, this is honestly 126 is just stacked with Espinoza, Nick Ball, Angela Leo, Figueroa, Alberto Lopez, Ray Vargas, Stephen Fulton, Bruce Carrington, Robeisy Ramirez. Like it's maybe the best division in boxing.
Yeah, and this guy's like a foot taller than all those dudes.
Yeah, man, him and Nick Ball. I've been saying it forever, but that is a fight. They'll go straight to the middle of the ring, inside fighting. Just the shortest. That's got to be one of the biggest height differentials.
5'1" and 6, or 5'2" and 6'1",
something like that.
Yeah,
it's about a foot difference.
That'd be hilarious.
I would love to see it.
I think Ball wins just because I'm going for the short guy.
Just because he's
just fuck it, man. He's gonna sell out and throw those uppercuts from hell.
He will.
It'd
be a great fight. It'd be an incredible fight. And yeah, he did blame it on the elbows, and I saw ESPN on the State of Boxing afterwards running through saying, our broadcast team went through in slow-mo all the rounds. And
they were hating on him.
Couldn't find a single elbow.
I know. It's like guilty till proven innocent, or however it works in this situation. Like, don't just jump to the conclusion and shoot him down right away. Like, review the whole fight,
Yeah.
Or just give him the benefit of the doubt. Let him walk away right now, because, everybody's already going to think he's a quitter. Let's not hate him on the way out.
Yeah, true. And you might not have caught it,
Yeah.
I mean, I would actually find it less believable that no elbows were landed. I mean, the dude's all elbows. He's on the inside like that, throwing the thing. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Not like one.
We got a tall guy on our competition team. It's about once a month somebody catches an elbow. It's not intentional at all. It's just the fact he's got long old fucking arms.
Yeah.
and he's real tall and skinny. But it's the way it goes, man. It's just frustrating to hear. I think people need a reminder sometimes what boxing is really all about. And unfortunately, it only comes around when something very tragic happens. And luckily, nothing tragic happened on the night, you know. But for him, you know, think about it. This is like the fight of his life, you know. When you're in there, it's like there's nothing else that exists in that time. You're not thinking about your career,
Right.
You're not thinking about whatever. You're thinking like, I'm gonna fucking get my ass kicked real bad if I don't perform. And then when you feel yourself not performing, you're like, oh, I'm getting my fucking ass kicked real bad.
Yeah.
And now you got double vision. And then what's next? You're just like a primal animal in there.
Yeah.
And to succeed in that moment is totally natural. I think it should be totally fine. So that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. Well, not the way he wanted the night to go. Moving on to the main event, up to junior lightweight. Again, ESPN number 1 ranked, Manuel Navarrete stops Oscar Valdez to the body.
Wow. After whooping his
really
fucking
laid a beat down.
backside all across the ring, man.
Yeah. Couldn't get it done in the first fight. Looked like a totally different fighter. Way more dominant performance. Impressed with all of his crazy momentum, punches from off angles. Still kept that 70, 80 punch per round output, so high motor. But he looked smart in there to me. He was laying traps. He was going to the body, slowing him down. He just looked like he absolutely outworked him, outmuscled him, but also outclassed him. And I say that, I won some money on Espinoza, but I lost a little money on Valdez. I thought he was undervalued going into this, and Navarrete was a little too favored, especially considering how close the first fight was. But Navarrete really proved why he was the favorite.
Yeah, he's incredible, and I could feel the frustration from Valdez, and the momentum was just never in his favor, and everything just kept compounding. You know, he was struggling to get his punches going. He was trying to stay composed, but his punches weren't having much effect. And then when he was getting hit, they were having a pretty solid effect. And I noticed this pattern to Navarrete's attack where he would throw very not normal combination punching. He's not going to go 1, 2, 3, step back and breathe. Double jab, cross, roll out, and reset. He throws these odd patterns and awkward numbers of punches and weird sequences. So you can see Valdez would get through the first 2 or 3 punches with some traditional defense and then kind of stand up, relax, and get cracked and knocked off balance. And they're like, oh, yeah, this isn't sparring. This isn't Canelo's style.
Right.
You know, which I feel like they have a very similar style. Squared up, stuck to the ground, great upper body movement, but they always kind of come back to where they started and with their upper body movement, and they don't really get around too much. So I'm thinking it's like this, you know, Valdez is a great boxer, and against anybody in the, top 20, he's going to do great, especially at the same size and stature. You know, he's a great puncher, nice left hook, good solid upper body movement, great reflexes. But you put him in there with a guy who's not really boxing in a traditional sense in that style. He's breaking all the rules. He's doing things wrong with his feet. He's throwing uppercuts from angles you would never expect. He's throwing punches in bunches that don't add up to your natural rhythm of defense. So you never get your momentum going. And you're like, are we even playing the same sport right now? What the fuck is happening to me?
Right. I think that's a really good juxtaposition because I've always viewed it like you have fighters that fight in sequence and fighters that fight in flow. And in like a sequence, Canelo's like a sequence fighter. It's like everything is like, okay, this is one sequence. You did that, and I did this defensive maneuver, and then we reset, and now we go again.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And Navarrete is not like that. He's in a flow state. He's going. He's changing stances. He throws that lead. I mean, he'll throw like a rear uppercut like as he shuffles forward towards, like he'll close the distance with a rear uppercut. It's like the weirdest thing you've ever seen. And then, yeah, he'll throw like a hook off that, but it's not a hook because it's kind of like a hook uppercut, but also kind of a jab, like a up jab, right? And it's just like, it's at a certain point, you're like, dude, you're Dr. Octagon in there.
Yeah.
Right?
It doesn't make any sense. And then, we watched Valdez get knocked down in the first round.
Yeah.
And he was saying it was to the back of the head. Replay showed it wasn't. It was high up on the head above the ear, which is a terrible place to get hit at. But you could tell, okay, he's getting a little frustrated. He's like, this guy's hitting me in weird places at weird times. And I didn't even see it coming. And then the doctor checked on him, and he's like, "I'm fucking fine.
Yeah.
like leave me alone. I'm okay. Like I don't need that."
Yeah.
And then his mouth guard gets knocked into the fucking third row.
Yeah.
Because this dude, I mean, you can hear him through the fucking yell punching. He
Yeah.
yells when he punches. When
Dude, Navarrete cracks. Like for a dude that basically never has his feet set, I don't know how he does it. I like when you watch him throw punches in slow mo. I'm like, where's this power coming from? This is not the ground up. It's like somewhere else. His power's like in his rotator cuff. Something weird, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely, that's what I mean. It's non-traditional. Nobody would take a boxer from nothing and teach him to fight like that.
Yeah.
He just gets away with it because he's just awkward. And he's got like that David Benavidez body, that Tyson Fury build.
Yeah.
Where they don't look like a guy you would think was a professional athlete in a combat sport. But when they hit people, they hurt him, well, with the exception of Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
He's not really known for his KO power.
No.
But he can move like a boxer, even though he doesn't look like one.
Yeah.
And he can make you miss. He's got great reflexes, even though he doesn't have a great body.
Yeah, he's twitchy.
Yeah.
But you don't associate softness and twitchiness,
No.
right? But
Yeah,
they
and
both
so,
have that.
But Navarrete, he got to the point where I was starting to feel bad for Valdez. He could feel the frustration. Nothing's going his way. And then that body shot came, and down he goes. And he was just like, oof. It was like he was watching this warrior fall in battle, and he's like, oh, I can't fucking lose. You know, he made it clear how prideful he is and how important this fight was. And to not only lose, but to lose to a body punch. It's like, oh, man, you just got outclassed and just totally left in the dust. And the boxing world's just going to keep on rolling, man.
Yep.
You know?
That was brutal. I think it marks, if not the end, certainly it's a signal towards the end of his career. And it's been a good career, and he's an excellent fighter and, a respectful, really likable guy. And that was tough. I wanted to see a closer fight for sure. But Navarrete rolls on, and king of the junior lightweights, what do you think is next for him? He's got him to 135 once, lost to Baranchyk, which was weird because he, like you said, he's not a smaller guy. He seems like he'd fare okay up there, but maybe he's just a bit too small. I assume he stays at 130. A lot of people are saying O'Shaquie Foster next, potentially. I think that could be an interesting fight. I'm not sure who else I see him with at 130. Ray Ford could be an interesting fight.
Former title holder, didn't hold it too long, but I think all these guys are going to struggle with him. But there'll be entertaining fights no matter what. The guy's always going to put on a show, put him in there with anybody, and maybe they can get something going. I think somebody's got to learn to make it quieter, right? We talk about volume punchers, right? That means you throw a lot of punches. Well, also think about it like, it just gets real loud in there, Mm-hmm. And somebody's got to learn to quiet this guy down. And that certainly wasn't going to be Valdez with his come forward, crouched over the front foot style.
Yeah.
To swarm and try to throw power punches with a classic Mexican style. You're going to need a guy who's going to be patient enough to stay behind their jab, use the ring defensively, and deny Navarrete's ability to get the flow state going. That's going to take a real consummate boxer, a patient boxer, somebody who's going to take the risk of the crowd even booing at their efforts. Right? Mm-hmm. That's what it takes to beat a guy like that. You can't just go in there head first and try to outdo him at what he's doing so well. Can Ray Ford do that? I don't know. His last performance, he walked his opponent down. His opponent tried to do to him what I'm saying needs to be done to Navarrete. Yep. It says move away, to disengage, to be evasive, to pot shot and run. Ford, I think he could do something. We'll see. He's probably more adaptable than Valdez is. He hasn't shown any adaptability in his fight here or with his fight with Shakur Stevenson. At the highest levels, he's just too basic.
Yeah, I think the hard thing is there are people who can definitely outbox Navarrete, who have the skill set to potentially do it. But then you have to have the discipline to know that's what you're going to do. And like a Ray Ford, I see going, oh, you want to throw punches? Let's throw punches. I'm going to out. And it's like, oh, you're not. I mean, maybe he would. I don't know. Ray Ford's a strong dude, and I would love to see them fight in a phone booth. I think it'd be a great fight for as long as it lasted. But if I was coaching him to victory for Navarrete, that would not be the path. I'd say, dude, you're way better in the shoulder roll and the outside, staying slick, and get him hurt or tired, and then maybe move into something like that, drop it into another gear. But I think it's easy to maybe think you want to do that, and then you feel called out or you feel pressured or hurried, and you end up fighting their fight. And I think anybody at 130 that tries to fight Navarrete's fight is probably going to lose. Now, maybe that changes at 135 when he's, not the bigger guy. Like I could see Keyshawn Davis, right, standing toe-to-toe with him and just being stronger and bigger, and maybe that.
Yeah, it's too big, I think. And the awkwardness isn't as effective if it isn't hurting you so bad. It can be annoying. It can rack up points, but he's hurting these guys at 130.
Yeah.
And he wasn't able to hurt Baranchek, who is awkward in his own way. Maybe not the best test at that weight class, but I don't think he's struggling to make 130. He looked okay in there.
Yeah. I don't think he's I think it's the 130s is where he's at and not 135. But interesting to see where he goes next. Congrats to him. And then we had, of course, another card in Puerto Rico for some reason. No idea why. I couldn't figure this out. But we got our get-backs with Richardson Hitchens getting the unanimous decision win or actually split decision win, I believe, right?
And that fucked up my other parlay.
You had Paro?
I had Paro
Why are you
and
going to bet against
Navarrete.
your co-host, man? Come on.
We have to. We did complete opposite
I know,
picks
but
for the main events.
Don't you want to win sometimes?
Oh man, well, I just want to be able to brag on air, you know.
Yeah, do what I do, and then you can brag.
But I mean, trying to turn a nickel into a dime. But I'm like, the Hitchens, he got it done, but it's far from entertaining.
I loved it. I don't know. I know I'm in the extreme minority of this, but Paro comes out there and you see what he wants to do, right? That I'm gonna knock you out. That's what I'm going for, and that's exciting. And to watch Hitchens struggle with that for 3 rounds, 4 rounds, and then when you listen to the corner, as a corner man, you gotta love this, right? His corner's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Stop, box, pick it up, right? You need to land more punches, but you need to stay on the outside. And he I've almost never seen somebody listen to their corner as much as this guy listened to it. And it was funny, too, because Berlango was there. Did you see that?
No.
And he's yelling out to him, what do you think I should do? He's listening to everybody getting all this feedback. And then you'd see him go out there and do it. And you're like, oh, shit, you won that round. And he'd go back and they'd be like, okay, good. You won that round. Now do that again this time, but add the, And he did it. And by the 6th, 7th, 8th round, it was like, oh, okay, this is slipping away. He just has to keep doing this and it's in hand.
Yeah, it was another frustrating performance to watch. Liam Paro just let it just snowball out of control, and wasn't able to get anything going. I passed the first quarter of the fight, and then the last 3 rounds it was just that's why I guess I say it wasn't entertaining, because I was just man, we're just gonna watch the same sequence over and over and over again. Maybe it's not so much Hitchens' fault for not putting on a show for me. It's Paro's fault for just keep running face first into the fucking counter punches and getting stunned and stumbled by jabs and shit,
Yeah.
He was walking right into jabs that looked like they hurt bad, but he just was just I gotta try again to run head first through this jab. It's buddy, it's going to take some more than that. And he wasn't using his feet at all.
I don't know if he has it in his arsenal, to be honest. It's at a certain point, it feels weird when you're wow, you don't have an answer for this? A jab? Someone staying long and just trying to keep you away? You never thought about head movement or going under or leaping left or anything?
That's what I'm saying. A guy who makes it quiet but can win in that moment. So Hitchens is okay, we're not going to have a knockout party. It's going to be a boxing match, and it's going to get a little quieter. There's not going to be so much volume, but when I land, it's going to be effective. And the other guy's just screaming to try to turn the volume up, but it just keeps getting it turned down. Nope. No, I'm just going to stay nice and quiet in here.
Yep.
You can't do it. I'm not going to let you do it.
Clinch, turn, keep the other guy in the center, stay on the outside, circle around him away from his power hand, and it's like you said, it got quiet, and it just stayed that way. I like it.
Yeah, and it's almost like inevitability, you're losing, man. 3 more rounds, and nothing's changing.
And then, that's a great point, because then you see the desperation increase.
Yeah.
And they never look good in desperation.
No.
Then it's you're just hunting for this one headshot, and it's well, that's easy. That's the easiest thing to avoid there is.
Yeah, and the more you want it, the less you're going to get it. So another title changes hands.
Yeah.
In Puerto Rico.
And Richardson Hitchens, who was unranked, jumps up to the number 4 junior welterweight contender.
And that belt is a hot potato, man. Can he hang on to it, or is he going to pass it on to the next guy?
It'll depend who he fights. I mean, that's maybe the second best division, I think, with Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, Jack Catterall, who's about to be in a eliminator. Now Richardson Hitchens, Puello, Jose Valenzuela, Liam Paro, Subriel Matias, and Arnold Barboza Jr., and then Josh Taylor still kind of lingering out there. And then you got Ryan Garcia, who post-ban will jump somewhere around that mix, I would guess.
Is he coming back? Is he going to come back to us?
He'll do. He's got to fight again.
Well,
he wants that tank.
He's doing an exhibition match.
Is it going to happen? I keep hearing it's off, it's on, it's maybe
I
going to happen.
don't believe anything De La Hoya says.
That's true.
He's a master manipulator.
He'll come back and he'll fight.
Yeah.
Should we get into some boxing news?
Let's talk news, man. A lot going on out there.
Well, I want to circle back to the Super card because we kind of teased it before, but it's now been officially released. My birthday card.
February
my birthday
22nd.
Week. February 22nd, my birthday week. We get the last
21st birthday.
Yeah, 24. Yep, big 2-1. First sip of alcohol. I'm contemplating whether. We get the last crescendo.
Oh,
is what they're calling it.
Fuck yeah, dude.
So this is the Beterbiev Bivol rematch card. So as if you need anything else, like I'm already there.
Okay, sign me up.
Great. But listen to this card. And we'll go bottom up. Zhili Zhang versus Caballel.
Oh, fucking heavyweight powerhouse.
Heavyweight powerhouse. Virgil Ortiz versus Israel Madrimov. Actually, though, but Madrimov
Let's talk about that real quick. Side note.
has pulled out, right?
No, he pulled out
of fighting this up or what?
On this. He pulled out of fighting Boychuk next weekend
because he has bronchitis,
pneumonia or something.
Right.
Oh, convenient that because it's like, bro, I got a much bigger fucking fight happening in like 3 months.
Yeah.
Not even. So maybe I'm going to get sick now so I can focus on that fight later and I don't get injured or something because that's a tough fight.
Both of these are insane fights. The fact that he had both of those, I knew one was going to fall out. There's no way you have both those fights.
Within 3 months fighting those top guys like that. So, okay, back to the story. We got him with Virgil Ortiz. That's happening. That's signed, sealed, delivered on February 22nd. Great fight.
Ortiz. Yep.
Great fight.
Carlos Adames versus Shiraz.
Hamza Shiraz.
Amazing fight.
Wow. Okay. Whew.
Great fight. And then, out of absolute left field, Shakur Stevenson, who's been married to this card forever, but no longer fighting William Zepeda, fighting Floyd Schofield.
What?
Yeah.
That's really happening.
That's going to happen.
Oh, my God. Wow.
Dude. Him and his dad have been running their mouths.
Dude, it's just the power of social media.
Yeah.
You can talk your way to a world title. Is it a title fight? Is he holding a title right now?
Does Shakur have a...
this is when the conversation, do titles even matter? If you beat Shakur Stevenson, it doesn't matter if he's got a strap around his waist when you beat him or not. You're putting yourself in the top of the heap.
That's true.
But, wow, okay. Let's go, young Floyd. See if he can get it done.
I think Shakur has the WBO title.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Is that right?
That should be exciting.
He's WBC lightweight champion because he took it from De Los Santos.
What the young kid, Schofield brings here is excitement. I think he's going to take more of a risk than some previous Stevenson opponents have been able to, and actually give us a show and maybe give Stevenson a chance to shine a little brighter. And he's had a chance too in his previous few fights. Maybe it'd be an upset. That would certainly be the upset of the next year.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about Schofield is that, he's a strong dude. He's a good puncher, and he's a very solid boxer. And in most of his fights, I find myself yelling, "Box, stop it! Like, why are you like we were just talking about fighting their fight, being too scrappy, right? Break them down a little bit. If you look for the stoppage if it comes, but be a better boxer." Stevenson, I would say, is is probably in this weight class the best boxer, and among maybe the worst scrappers, the worst fighters. And part of that is to the credit of how good a boxer he is that he doesn't get drawn into that shit. You can see the IQ on display and the discipline on display. So if you're Schofield, do you do what you should have been doing in all those other fights, which is stay disciplined and box? I don't think so, because that's not a path to victory here. So you got to go out and press the action and live or die off that.
Yeah, that's a good take. I think that's what makes this an exciting fight. Not that Floyd Schofield is some master boxer, but he's going to be a little wild enough to take the risk and put the pressure on the champ.
I think he'll disregard I don't know what his corner's telling him. If they're telling him, all right, we're going to box this guy and this and that. And he said in last fight, I know I didn't listen to my corner because I just want to give the people a show. Well, this is that fight where that's actually the best
put on
advice.
a show.
Just
man.
go for it, brother.
Let's go.
See what happens.
Let's go. Okay, what else is on this card?
Then we got Dubois, Dynamite Daniel returns to fight Joseph Parker.
And defending that belt he's got as a world champion, heavyweight champion of the world.
Great fight.
Okay.
Great fight. I mean, Parker, super impressive in his last couple victories. really disarming his opponents, not letting them do what they want to do. He's a tricky, crafty guy, and to do that against, I mean, honestly, Dubois has felt a bit unstoppable to me. Dubois said, bring me Usyk, bring Usyk back to me, and Usyk was undoubtedly my number one. But when I really meditate on it, I'm like, man, I think he gets that revenge on Usyk.
I mean, if he can keep the train rolling, that might happen someday.
Yeah, it's possible if Usyk doesn't ride off into the sunset after this month.
Yeah, we'll see. And well, this is no longer for Undisputed, what's coming up next weekend, but it doesn't really matter. This is like King of the World shit right here.
Yeah.
But all right, is that? What else we got? Anything?
What else we got? It's not enough for you. And then Bivol Beterbiev. That's a stacked card.
All right, that's
man.
amazing. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. We got some local news a little bit.
What's that?
One of our hometown heroes, he's actually from Tacoma, but he's part of our Northwest scene up here, a young kid named Dedrick Crocklem. He just got signed to Top Rank.
Oh shit! All right,
yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah, I've seen him around forever. He was at the Olympic trials when I was down there last year with my boxer Aaron Thompson. He was down there kicking ass, putting on a show. I mean, that's when the champ was in the house, when Crawford was there. Like, he was there watching that kid. Like, he's got people in the stands going crazy on the other side of the country.
Wow.
He's got a great support around him. He's been in the Northwest his whole life. So a local kid. He's 20 years old. 7-time national amateur champion, and boom, signed to Top Rank. So that's a huge deal for our local scene.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And we're all super proud of him and looking forward to what he can do on the scene. That's real cool, man. And then another local kid is fighting tomorrow on Golden Boy, Victor Morales Jr.
Oh yeah,
He's been pro for a while. He's undefeated and he's moving up a weight class. So we're looking forward to seeing him put on some work. He got rhabdo and had to pull out of a fight a little while ago. So of course that's typically followed by a weight class change, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay, so he's up at Super Feather, and that's tomorrow night. I believe it's for a title, and then also on my guys, we got a big ass showdown in January that we just started our training camp for. Lorenzo Caldera's got his rematch. We had the fight of the year this year earlier back in April with Cardenas, and they're running it back. And then my guy Aaron Thompson's fighting another kid from local kid from down the way, and who called him out after a fight and shit, like, we want Thompson.
Oh yeah.
And then Aaron wore his shirt that says, we want what's the kid? We want Alvarado. So it's like, these local kids are putting it on. I'm really proud of them.
Let's go.
This is what makes boxing exciting. 2 young undefeated guys fighting each other. And now we're going in their hometown, but it's like 45 minutes away, so it's not that much
where's
pressure.
That? Where's the fight?
Salem.
Oh, Salem. Okay. All right.
It's the Salem Armory.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fucking great event. So looking forward to that locally, and then of course the Masters unfinished business tours on the road. I got some action in February down in Las Vegas. So a lot of good local news too, man. A lot of fun stuff happening. So keep your ears to the streets and stay in the gym. Maybe someday you'll be on the pod getting talked about for you local fighters out there.
Yeah, and wherever you're at listening to this pod, remember, obviously we focus on national fights and, everything big happening at the top, but boxing happens everywhere. So go check out your local fights.
Yeah,
man.
if you're in London, go down, watch the local fights. So there's one other thing I want to talk about. I don't know if you listeners know, me and Dust, we used to be friends before we were professional podcast co-hosts.
Before I outshined him with all my picks, we had a friendship.
Yeah. We used to spend time together. We'd talk about our lives. We'd hang out in the gym and work out. He even came to my wedding.
It's true.
And maybe someday I'll go to his too. But you remember what you got me for my wedding gift?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. But it never came, right?
It never came.
Yeah.
Where are they at?
I got you
Where's the pots and pans?
I got you a pots and pan set, and I'm going to pull it up literally right now.
I'm putting you on the spot right now. The air, unfiltered.
I have receipts.
Where's my pots and pans, bro?
I have receipts. I have receipts. I'm not worried at all. This guy comes to my house today and he's like, I got something to talk about on the pod. I'm like, oh, what is this? Do I need to know about it? Oh, don't worry about it. This is what it turns out to be, pots and pans. I'm going to...
Where's the pots at, brother?
It's funny because that was so long ago. What was the name of it? Do you remember? It was on your list.
I don't remember.
It was on your list. I'll find it on here. And they were like, oh, it's like a week after your wedding. Your order's been delayed. Oh, okay. Your order's been delayed. And I get an email like every week. Your order's been delayed. Your order's been delayed. And I just got one like a week ago or
Yeah,
like
so
10 days ago.
we both know that I never got the pots, but we never talked about it.
Yep.
And this is fucking hurting my feelings, man.
Is it? I paid for the pots.
That's what. No, really, I don't. I mean, I'm not tripping too much. I just kind of feel bad that we never got the pots, and you bought the damn things, and I never got them.
I'm sure they must have refunded my card at some point.
I hope
right?
they gave you the money back, and then you could just slide me some cash, and we won't tell the wife about it, okay? Because I didn't pick those fucking pots and pans.
She's the one buying, pay for all these pay-per-views. I'm gonna slide her the money.
For real. That'd probably be a smart move.
We're gonna get to the bottom of this. Don't worry.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, folks. If you got a gift registry, you got to make sure these people follow up on their promises. When it's been 3 to 4 months, and you can say, "Where's it at? Where's the gifts at?"
And listeners, what you got to do is, most of the time, they're not going to do this kind of follow up. You just tell them you got something off the registry, and you're good. You don't actually have to get it.
Yeah.
You know, that's the secret. I'm gonna publish these receipts on our Instagram.
Yeah, we need to see that for real.
You to know.
So that's all the local news and current drama between me and my esteemed co-host here. Of course, this weekend we got some boxing coming up, but it's being outshined by the year-end heavyweight showdown. But Munguia's fighting tomorrow. It looks like a stay busy fight. Not a lot to talk about there. Of course, we're going to watch Morales and the Golden Boy card. It looks like probably going to be some sleepers on there, like the what was it, Arthur fucking Gonzalez the other day. That shit was amazing, and it's not a name that popped out to me. So even if you don't know these names, give the fights a watch. Munguia always delivers. We don't know much about his opponent. We don't expect a fight of the year, but it should be good boxing and some entertainment. So if you're on, tune into to the Golden Boy card and watch that one, and definitely keep your eye on Morales Jr. Well, maybe the local guy can make something big happen. I think there's a DAZN, or no, that is the DAZN card. No, is that the ESPN? No, that's DAZN. So ESPN's got something going on too. Curiel.
Yeah,
that's right. No, man, I get them all mixed up.
There's a couple fights coming. There's like 3 or 4 cards actually this weekend. It's kind of, it's kind of a blue collar weekend, like working guys.
Yeah. It was supposed to be. You remember what it was supposed to be this weekend?
What was going to be this weekend?
It was supposed to be Gervonta Davis.
Oh, and then they pushed it.
They delayed that. Yeah, I think that's why it feels like a dead weekend, because
it does.
Like there was a lot of boxing up in the air, and then they kind of pulled the air out of the room when they pulled the superstars out. That doesn't mean it's not worth watching. So tune in and see what you can see out there.
Yeah, there's a Sky Sports card. There's 2 DAZN cards, and there's an ESPN Plus card. But the Rocha card is on DAZN, and then Akhmadaliev Espinoza also on DAZN during the daytime. So daytime and night, and then Munguia fights, I believe, a cab driver.
Do they have cabs in France?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they did. It's a bullet train driver.
Yeah,
they do something fancy.
It's a bike pedal thing.
Yeah,
with a guy wears a beret.
And then let's get into let's save the big coup de grace, Usyk Fury 2 for next week, and then we'll get into our year-end recap.
Yeah.
Only other couple things of boxing news. Gervonta Davis teases retirement in 2025. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah.
I will say boxers, are one to retire and unretire, but not something he's thrown out before. And so maybe something to be taken seriously, which is a little depressing. I feel like his career would be over before it kind of got started in a way, but he'll always have those criticisms around his neck, given the way he kind of managed and how he thought about belts and fighting the top people. And, no blame, but just kind of something he'll have to be okay with.
Yeah, well, he's been always disappointing the goals that other people set for him. Originally, he was supposed to be the next Mayweather.
Right.
When that he took the most complete opposite route with a lot of his career moves. And that would be another example of that. Retiring young, walking away without any real great accolades, crazy shit, but a hell of a entertaining career and a lot of highlights, and hopefully a lot of money stashed away, But, he came out and talked about therapy, and he's afraid to do therapy because it's going to make him lose his killer instinct. I think he's always been so open and honest. I really appreciate his candid interviews. He said before one fight, like literally in the locker room, like, yeah, I'm nervous. I'm always a little nervous, but I'll be, it's just normal. And I just love that. It's normalize your feelings and shit. And I get what he's saying about therapy. That makes sense. If you've been exercising your demons in the ring and turning into somebody you may not like very much, is that what it takes to hurt people at this level? And to find that deep, dark, evil dog down inside of you that wants to drop motherfuckers hard. And he might be afraid to lose that. That's real honest, and that's really cool of him to be that candid. And hopefully, other people can learn from that and not push themselves into places they don't need to be. You know.
Yeah, similar to how we started the show talking about Ramirez saying, that's enough for right now. I view it the same way of like, I wouldn't fault you in a second for saying, wait, why am I doing this? Sustaining permanent injuries and not bettering myself emotionally and all these things when I've made life-changing intergenerational wealth and can walk away from you should do that. That completely makes sense.
Yeah, if you got the kind of personality that's not addicted to the rush of the attention and the high of walking that tightrope and then coming out on the other side victorious, if he doesn't need that, then fucking don't do this, man. Do not recommend it.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That's like half my job is telling people that you shouldn't box.
Yeah, like maybe this isn't for you.
Yeah, just hit that heavy bag, man.
Yeah.
I'll teach you how to hit it real hard.
Yeah.
I'll teach you how to have a lot of fun boxing, but maybe you don't need to get hit in the head.
And he can, hit a heavy bag filled with diamonds in his mansion like for the rest of his days.
Some guys retire and just never even box again. Like they don't even go out to the garage and hit the heavy bag. They're just like done with it forever.
Yeah, like that's good.
It's like a regular job. Like I'm not gonna go pick up a hammer after I stop fucking framing houses. I'm done with it.
Yeah, I mean I see it for sure. Well, interesting to see where he goes. And then last piece of news I have is it looks like the other Davis, Keyshawn Davis, is gonna get a title shot against Baranchek. That's where the division chips fell. And I don't think it's final yet, but that looks to be where things are headed, and that's a great fight.
That'll be great, super entertaining. I like this trajectory that Keyshawn's on. He's a throwback fighter, making things happen, entertaining, and Baranchek's going to be tough enough to make it hard on him, but he's probably going to lose that one.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think it's a close fight, to be honest. I really like Keyshawn, but he's moving fast. I think the total number of fights. Like, how many fights do you think Keyshawn has had?
Well, I think they're both silver medalists. They should make that part of the promotional package.
That's true. Finally for gold.
Yeah,
he's 12 fights into his career. Extensive amateur. Like he's experienced and he looks solid. But when you look back, like what was it? It was just so he looked great against Lemos, right? Who came in overweight and really dominated him. But the fight before that went to unanimous decision. And I remember we were having a different conversation saying, man, it looked like he, not that he was in over his head, but that you wanted to see him swim a little better than he did. And like, maybe it's time to take a beat and maybe build a little. And then all of a sudden we're like, yeah, throw him in there with the title holder. And he's definitely got it. And it's like, whoa, go,
Yeah. Well, Baranchek, he just doesn't have there's not a lot of threat on him, I don't think a lot of people see him as a threatening opponent. I think his value is in his footwork, his timing, his, that Ukrainian style that he doesn't use exactly like his other teammates from that Olympic team that Papachenko taught. He's not it doesn't have the same signature moves that we see from Usyk and that we saw from Lomachenko, who I think we can say now is officially fucking retired. I mean, I don't like come on, please don't come back. But he's got a great skill set as well, Olympic pedigree, and much. How many fights has he got? A couple more.
Baranchek?
He's got in the 20s, I think. But I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't that many. 20 at the most. Let's see. You hear that, folks? That fact check, clickety clack.
Yeah, 19 fights.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds right. He's a lot older, though, isn't he? He's probably got 10 years on the kid.
He's 36. What's Davis, 29?
Nah, he's not that old yet.
Younger than that?
Yeah.
25.
Yeah. So, yeah, about 10 years.
Let's do all bouts. I always like looking at all bouts. Keyshawn, 90 and 13. So this is amateur and professional. Oh, Baranchek, a lot less than I thought. I was thinking going to be decently into the hundreds.
BoxRec amateur records are not up to date.
Not super accurate.
The only ones they include on there are international tournaments.
Interesting.
They're not going to include all your local fights.
But like when you go to certain, like especially Eastern European fighters, they'll be 200, 300. Now maybe those guys just uniquely targeted international stuff like that got caught here, but because he was only showing 59 and 13, and I'm sure he's.
Yeah, even some of their their pro records are wrong. We had our fighter Lorenzo had his record. They never updated one of his fights. It just never came up on there. So he was listed as like 7-0 when he was 8-0 for like 6 or 8 months.
Wow.
We kept trying to contact BoxRec, trying to contact him. But I know for a fact he had like 122 amateur fights. And then if I look at his BoxRec, it says in his BoxAm that he had, let's see, it says he's 8-8 as an amateur. But
Wow.
the guy had over 100 AMI
That's crazy.
fights. You know, so don't trust what you see on there for the amateur records.
I think Brenchek is, a bit of a wear you down kind of guy, and he's tough.
Yeah, and I'm judging him based on my most recent memory, which was the Navarrete fight, which was just this awkward clash of uppercuts and footwork, and they were dancing around each other in these really odd circles.
Yeah.
So not even circles, man. They were drawing all kinds of weird geometric shapes in there. So let's just take a step back. I really agree with what you said there. I think we're really high on Keyshawn's most recent performance, and I'm a little low on Baranchek's threatening ability to hurt Keyshawn. I see Keyshawn just kind of dominating him, but that's it's definitely how the sport goes. It's hard to see a guy's whole career in your head when you just watched him knock a dude out a couple weeks ago. So yeah,
and as far as the belts go, this is the right one to challenge for. So I love the step up, but I do think it is a step up, right? And I think he could totally get it done, and that's what makes a great fight. Is like there's a path to victory, and it's good. But I'm not even sure I would call it 50-50. And I think when I hear a lot of people talk about it, they're like, "Oh yeah, well Keyshawn, like that's he's the favorite, right?" I'm like, really? Like just out of the gate, he's
Yeah, well, you talk about boxing sometimes. You're really good. I appreciate your analysis, but I do think you would kind of go back to like the betting odds version of it, and a lot of what we see online on the Instagram, people's opinions. It's like favorite, like he's my favorite fighter, not like he's favored to win. Like I like him,
right?
And it's like a lot of popularity and.
But you mean they use that to say I think he's gonna win,
right?
Okay, like I like him. I've been following his career. Like he's my favorite, and he's gonna blast this guy out of there.
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah,
exactly.
blah.
It's just a bias, and we're all guilty of that, kind of falling in love with somebody's style and their momentum and their story and their career, and expecting that to make them win. When really that's not how it goes. It's a tactical battle of two men and their punches. And no matter how much you like the guy and how much great his story is, sometimes, as we saw with Lomachenko, his story got turned upside down when he lost the fight to Devin Haney. You know, but then you see Usyk, his story went again all the way when he, and he beat Joshua twice and then went on to beat Fury. I mean, what an amazing story.
Yeah.
And then here we coming into the next weekend. Will the story continue to be a fairy tale for the Ukrainian, or will it go the other way and the Gypsy King's going to come out on top? Who, I don't know if you've seen the face-to-face, but this dude is so frustrating, man, with his bipolar shit. He'll sit there and be like, I'm not going to make any excuses. And then they called him out. They said, well, do you regret saying that they gave him the fight based on what was happening in his country? And he says, no, why would I regret that? I don't regret anything. I'm like, but he's a good Christian man. I won't make excuses, but I won't make excuses, but. And then he'd be so nice and so, you're a good Christian man. It was a good fight. Could have gone either way. And we'll do it again next time. And then 2 minutes later, he's like, I'm going to spark you right out, bitch. And I'm like, what? I can't take that seriously. Who are you? A nice Christian man or this like wannabe thug,
I mean, forever I have found Fury to be an interesting character. And I appreciate the hell out of him for being an interesting character. I also find him to be the definition of hot air. I mean, this is a dude that walks around saying, I am the heavyweight king. I'm the best boxer ever without ever fighting any of the top guys. And when he did, he lost. And he gave us a great trilogy with Wilder, and he bested Wilder, and that was great. You fought one of the champs who was, a bit of a paper tiger, but you beat him. Like, good for you. Now go on and beat other people. We can name 5 heavyweight fighters right now that you need to beat in order to be in that conversation. And he just kind of waited everybody out and did a Dillian White trilogy and the Chisora, and it's just like, dude, nobody cares about this. And like none of that matters if you just want to make money, if you're taking the Davis approach, like we just said. But you don't. You want to walk around saying that you're the greatest that ever lived. And you just don't get to have both of those things. And for that reason alone, it's good versus evil.
Yeah, that's how I feel it is. And it's a Christmas movie, dude. It's a fucking Christmas special.
Yeah. Facts.
I'm gonna be watching. I want to see Usyk get it done just for the story. But I just said this 2 seconds ago. You can't want a guy into winning. He's got to want to win, and he's got to have a tactical game plan because there's a path to victory for both of these guys on fight night. I can't wait to see it. Next week, we'll break it down in depth before the fight and make our official picks. But right now, you know what time it is. It's time to get back to the gym.
Back to the gym. All right, until next time, I'm Dust.
I'm Coach.
And that's boxing.
Where's my pies at?